She's lying next to you. It's quiet. Her head is on your chest, and you think everything is fine. You think because she's here, because she stayed, because she laughed at dinner, you've done enough. But behind her eyes, there's a room you've never entered. A room she decorated in silence, filled with a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And in that room lives a fantasy so specific, so consuming, that if you ever understood it, you'd never lose a woman again. She won't tell you about it. Not because she doesn't trust you, but because the moment she has to explain it, it dies. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Most men hear dark fantasy and immediately think about the bedroom. They think it's about positions, about intensity, about something physical she's too shy to say. And that's the first mistake. Because her deepest fantasy has nothing to do with what you do to her body. It has everything to do with what you do to her mind. Psychologist Esther Perel spent decades studying desire, not love, desire. And she found something that shook the foundation of modern relationships. The thing women crave most isn't safety. It isn't commitment. It isn't even love. It's the experience of being chosen, deliberately, specifically, almost obsessively, by a man who didn't need her but wanted her anyway. That distinction will haunt you once you understand it. She doesn't fantasize about a man who loves her because she's convenient. She fantasizes about a man who saw her across every option, every distraction, every temptation, and still walked toward her like she was the only door in the room. That's the surface layer. But stay with me, because it goes much darker than that. Here's where most men lose her permanently. You think being chosen means saying, "I love you." You think it means texting back fast, showing up on time, remembering her birthday. And sure, those things matter. But they don't touch the fantasy. The fantasy isn't about being chosen once. It's about being chosen repeatedly. In the small moments, in the moments where she's not performing, not trying, not looking her best, and you still look at her like she's pulling you in by gravity. Carl Jung called it psychological holding, the ability to make someone feel completely seen without them having to ask for it, without them having to earn it. And this is the part she will never say out loud. She wants to be held in your awareness even when she's not in the room. Say this to her after a normal Tuesday, no occasion, no reason. "I was driving home today and I thought about the way you tilt your head when you're listening to something you care about. And I realized I'd probably notice that in a crowd of 10,000 people." Watch what happens to her face. Watch how her breathing changes. That's not a compliment. That's the fantasy leaking into real life. Or try this. She tells you something ordinary, about her day, about work, about something that annoyed her. Don't fix it. Instead, say, "You know what I just noticed? When something bothers you, your voice drops, almost like you're protecting yourself from how much it actually matters to you." She'll go quiet. But that silence? That's not discomfort. That's a woman realizing she's been seen at a depth she never asked for. And that feeling is more intoxicating than anything physical you could ever offer. Now pay close attention to what I'm about to say next, because this is the layer she buries deepest. The real dark fantasy, the one she replays in the shower on her drive to work at 2 a.m. when she's staring at the ceiling, isn't just about being seen. It's about surrender, not submission. Surrender. There's a difference most men will never understand. Submission is about power taken. Surrender is about power given. She fantasizes about a man so grounded, so certain, so emotionally steady, that she can finally stop managing everything. Stop performing. Stop being the one who holds it all together. Attachment theory calls this the secure base phenomenon. When a person feels truly safe with someone, they don't become passive. They become free. Free to be soft. Free to be chaotic. Free to fall apart without worrying that he'll crumble too. She doesn't want a man she can control. She's terrified of that man. She wants a man where control feels unnecessary, where she can say, "I don't know what I need right now." And he doesn't panic. He doesn't fix. He just stays, steady, present, unmoved by the storm but close enough to feel it with her. Most men either collapse under her emotions or run from them. The man she fantasizes about, he does neither. He sits in it with her like it's weather, temporary, survivable, and nothing to fear. That's the fantasy. Not a man who dominates her. A man who makes dominance irrelevant, because his presence alone makes her want to let go. And this is where everything connects. Think about the two layers together. Being chosen, deliberately, obsessively, in the quiet moments, creates trust. And that trust unlocks surrender. The fantasy isn't one thing. It's a sequence. A chain reaction that starts with attention and ends with a woman giving you the most terrifying thing she owns, her unguarded self. But here's the dark part. The part that makes this a fantasy and not a plan. She believes most men aren't capable of it. Not because men are weak, but because most men are distracted. They're performing too. Trying to look confident instead of being steady. Trying to say the right thing instead of seeing the real thing. And she's watched enough men crumble under the weight of her complexity that she's stopped expecting depth. So she keeps the fantasy locked. She smiles at your surface-level love and tells herself it's enough. She convinces herself that wanting more makes her too much. And slowly, quietly, she folds that room shut. You'll never hear her say any of this. Not on a date. Not in a fight. Not even in her most vulnerable confession. Because this fantasy only works if you discover it yourself. The moment she has to hand you the map, the treasure loses its meaning. So here you are. Knowing something most men will scroll right past. Most men will hear dark fantasy and still picture something physical. They'll miss the point entirely. They'll go back to trying harder, buying more, performing louder, and wonder why she still seems like she's waiting for something. She is waiting, but not for what you think. She's waiting for the man who reads her silence better than her words. The man who notices the shift in her energy before she even names it. The man who doesn't ask what's wrong, because he already felt it change. That man doesn't need techniques. He doesn't need scripts. He needs one thing, the willingness to pay a kind of attention that most people are too busy, too distracted, or too afraid to give. And the strange, almost painful truth? You already have that ability. You've just been using it on everything except her. The fantasy was never about some other man. It was about the version of you that finally slows down enough to see what's been right in front of you this whole time.